You'll never truly be successful unless you learn how to balance these two things. And before I tell you about them, I just want to share this with you. You've been lied to your whole life. The world has told you this is the example of success. This is the goal you want to hit. This is the metric you need to get to. And it's also told you, oh, if you just lean into the happiness and the joy, then you don't need all of these things to be earned and sought after. And it's these two camps. And to be honest with you, they're both wrong. And I'll tell you why they're wrong. Because they lack balance. The two energies I'm talking about, the two components, are masculine and feminine energy. And when I look at this, I think of all of the great historians in the sense of like the authors, the gurus, the prophets, and I like to just use one that's non-biased for the most part. I feel like Buddha kind of, whatever beliefs you have, I feel like everybody can kind of get behind Buddha, right? And his idea was the middle path. And the middle path is exactly what we're trying to achieve here. See, if you're leaning so far into your masculine that you think all of your successes and all of your achievements and all of your conquering is going to make you happy, you're going to wake up at 65, 75 years old and go, wait a minute, I lost all the details, all the joy, all the depth of life. And if you go the reverse and you go, well, none of that stuff matters. It says in my, whatever it is, religion that you believe in that, the meek shall inherit the earth. And I just need to be this person that's just happy with whatever I have. You're never going to really, truly find happiness there either because you don't have purpose. You have no drive. You have no grit. You're not going after anything. And honestly, you're settling and giving up. So let's look at the two of those components, all right? You have one person who it's never enough. No matter how much you fill that void, it just keeps emptying out. Then you have the other person who's just settling for whatever comes their way. I'm just going to be happy no matter what. And you know what? Both of them, in my opinion, are wrong. And here's the deal. Don't get me wrong. The person who's got grit, who is leaning into their masculine, who's not just sitting and waiting around for handouts and hoping that God or somebody drops something in their lap, they're going to achieve far more success than the woo-woo person who's just sitting on a cloud waiting for things to come to them. But will they achieve as much depth? Will they have an understanding of love and the beauty around them that surrounds them? Will they realize that life is simply an experience to be experienced? So as we go through this video, I want you to take a moment to think about, where do you fall? Like, are you someone that leans really into their masculine and you're always driving, you're always doing, and you don't slow down enough to stop and smell the roses? Or are you somebody that is really in their feminine and they're always receiving, they're always in the moment, but they're never getting anything done? They don't have any accomplishments. They can't keep their word to themselves. They can't honor that piece of who they are. So wherever you fall in there, I want you to realize that this is your natural default. And then when I say natural, that could be from conditioning, upbringing, all of these things. But this is the way that you go, and this is the direction you go in at this period in your life. And you can change that. That's the point of all this. You can change any of this on a dime. So the question becomes, what do I want to change this into? And I think the real answer to that question is a deep reflection and contemplation of who you actually are. So what I would tell you to do on both ends, and this is going to apply more to the masculine side, is to really slow down if you're in your masculine. To take a minute and slow down and stop and smell the roses and think about, like, okay, when will I be happy? I will be happy when ... Well, ... will never come because nothing will ever be enough. It's just part of the deal. And I see this with people that are uber successful. I'm talking people that have made hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars that I personally work with, and they're still not happy with their achievements. So then you can look at the other side. This is the softer side. This is the fluffier side. You as a feminine person, man, woman, whatever it is that you are, and you lean more towards that side of receiving and allowing, I think that's a beautiful thing. But I think the issue with that is that you have this problem of not ever really sticking it out and doing what it takes to get to where you want to go and earning what it is that's meant for you. See, we are good enough simply because we breathe, right? And in the same token, if you want achievement in this 3D world and you want to be proud of your accomplishments, You must earn. So if you can hear what I'm talking about here, it sounds almost like a dichotomy. And on that note, that's why I'm writing a book called The Dichotomy of Everything: How to Balance Masculine and Feminine Energies to Achieve Success and Happiness. And the reason why I'm so excited about this book and why all of my work has been around this is because this is the balance of life. It's so hard. Here's the one question that inspired me to want to write this book and to talk about all this work is, how do I equally at the same time be perfectly driven and focused and powerful and get everything I want in life and go after it, and in the same breath, completely accepting and happy and joyful exactly where I'm at? Now that flip-flop state, it feels almost nearly impossible. Now I feel like I've solved quite a bit of that throughout my process and my journey, and I'm gonna write an entire book on it, because what you're gonna see is that there is an ebb and flow, and life is a dance. And what I see with the feminine side is there's no structure, there's no boundaries, there's no grid, there's no willingness to be uncomfortable. And what I see with the masculine side is there's no room to receive, there's no room to allow, there's no room to bring into life and manifest and create. And so what happens is when we're too far into that masculine, it's like, I'm a very disciplined person, and I have my days planned out to the T. And it's very important because I do believe that discipline and structure creates freedom. But it's like a closet. If you stuff that closet so full of all the clothes in it, you can't fit another piece of clothing in there. Nothing's gonna be able to come in. You can't put any more clothes in there. You can go shopping all you want, you can't fit it. So something has to be removed. So when you're in your masculine all the time as a male, specifically, I feel like you don't leave any room for opportunity, for creativity, to allow for the messiness. When you think about real powerful things that were created, they usually aren't created in this hardcore regimented line. They're created in chaos. Somebody dropped the wrong chemical onto the other chemical inside of a scientific lab, and bam, is something creative happen. So you want to lean into that creative side. But if you're someone that's super into their feminine and you're always in this creative state, you need structure and you need balance. You need to be able to have things on a disciplined, regimented path, or you won't be able to actually achieve the goals that you want. So the key to all of this is learning how we blend those pieces. And so that's what I want to talk about in this channel. That's what I want to talk about in my book. And that's what I want to share with the world, is that this compartmentalization of everybody, this left wing, right wing, conservative, Republican, super chill, passive liberalist, super hardcore conservative, somebody on the far, far left or somebody on the far, far right, they're missing the point. And the point is cohesiveness. The point is coexistence. The point is connection. And in the marketing world, we're at a place where polarization gets likes, it gets views, it's clickbait, and it works. My team against your team. But the reality is, if you want true success, you need to be able to blend and operate as a unit. When I train leaders, that's the first thing I tell them, is that your job is to bring everybody together and be a resource for them to be successful. And when they are in a place that they cannot achieve what they need to achieve, then you can come in and help. But really your only job is to make sure everybody's flowing and mediating and working together. Because when we come together as a blended unit of working together as a team, this is when we achieve super high success. You can look at this in a traditional home. Let's just use tradition, for example, and you can have any opinion you want, but I'm a traditional man. So if you have the husband doing his masculine job and you have the woman doing her feminine job, and they come together, they create a wholeness. Now, if we break that down even further, all men have femininity in them. I have quite a bit, actually. And all women have masculine traits in them as well. But we are going to lean one way or the other, and not as a compartmentalization again, but as simply, you might just lean that way. I had a former ex-girlfriend, like I'm in the military. I had a former girlfriend, and she was super feminine, but when it came to things that would be considered masculine, like putting together a couch from IKEA, it's not my jam. I get frustrated, and she loved it. So she kind of took on that masculine role. I'll build the furniture, right? I like to cook. I love wine. I like things like that. So that's something maybe I would lean towards. And I want you to see that there's this ebb and flow. And the moment you try to compartmentalize, you're screwing everything up. And the reason why I want to be so adamant about this right now, this is such a big deal, is everybody's trying to compartmentalize, even in this traditional like style of housewives and style of masculine men. There are generalizations and there is the 80%, but you as a person has to ebb and flow. And I'm always trying to talk to my men out there because I really want to see them level up. And I'll give you an example. You should be, as Jordan Peterson said, highly dangerous individual who completely is in control of their emotions. And at the same time, that highly dangerous individual should be able to read a bedtime story to their daughter and make them feel safe and make them feel protected, but be able to drop into that feminine as well. And so it's the ability to go back and forth. And so some of you men will understand this, maybe women too, but I grew up as a fighter. I was a professional fighter when I was younger, and I grew up in a very militaristic, regimented, like martial arts school that was totally street style self-defense, reality-based fighting. And the one thing that we kept being taught all the time is the ability to switch. So if you're a former special ops, if you're a soldier, if you're just a masculine man, you know what it's like when you're walking down somewhere and your hairs rise up on your arm and you see somebody in the corner of your eye and you know. And that switch has to turn immediately. And you become as masculine, violent, and aggressive and scary of as a man as you can possibly be. And then when you grab your daughter and you put her in the truck and you look around and everything's safe, you drop back into that feminine and you're like, baby girl, do you want to go get an ice cream? What do you need? And so what I want to share with my men out there is it's that ability to switch this thing on and off when you need it, when you don't, to be sensitive. It's the highly sensitive skills. It's the soft skills. It's the emotional intelligence that makes us the leaders and the men and the powerful individuals that we truly, truly want to be. So if that's the person you want to be, I want you to think about how you're not balancing your masculine and feminine energies. There's time when you must be assertive and you must crush and you must push through and you must conquer. And there's times when you need to receive, when you need to listen, when you need to learn, when you need to be the follower. And when you can blend those two together and find a balance that suits you based on the outcomes and desires you want in your life, you will finally be in a place where you will find true success coupled with true happiness. Because as I said, you can find this space of, oh, I hit all of these metrics, but now what? And you can find this space of, oh, I created all this joy in my life and everybody's loving and nurturing around me, but did I actually accomplish anything? And so when you blend that together, and I will talk more about the ability to blend it, how it works, what it looks like, but I just want to stress right now the importance on this video of actually doing that, of actually stepping up to the plate if you're too far in your feminine and really owning your life and honestly, stop being weak. Like step up to the plate. You can do more, get uncomfortable, get hard, make this work, right? I sound like David Goggins right now. But what about the other side? What about the gentle side? What about the receiving side? What about the loving side? You know, I would like to hope that the men that I'm talking to have that foundation, that they're already gangsters, that they're already out there doing the things, that they're already pushing, that they're already doing the workouts. That's the basics. And that's what I'm so sick and tired of. I'm so sick and tired of hearing of, you need to push harder, you need to show up, I don't care how you feel. I don't feel good, I go to the gym. I don't feel good, I pick up this, whatever. I do this for my family. Yeah, no shit. Like that is the basics. That's what men do. And by the way, the men who are listening to this that don't do that, you better step up to the fucking plate and get it together. Because that is what a man does. He handles what he needs to handle. But I want to talk to the men, and I don't want to say that I'm not talking to all of you, because I am, but you should have that foundation already. And so what's the next level? Let's stop talking about how gangster we are and how we can push through. You should have been doing that for the last 2 decades, man. And if you are doing that, what's the next level? The emotional intelligence, the slowing down, the hard stuff, the stuff that's difficult for us because we're doers, because we're masculine, because we're men, because we're conquerors. And this goes for women too. I know some gangster women out there that just grind harder than some of the men I know, especially in this generation. But that's the baseline foundation. We're in a 3D world. We need to be badass. We need to get to that level. But the next level we want to go to, this requires a different type of person. This requires someone who's able to slow down, who's able to have emotional intelligence, who's able to gauge the room, who's able to feel, to be intuitive. And if you want to get to that next level, that's what you need to work on. You don't need to keep doing more of the same thing. So that is what I want you to see, is if we want to rise to the next level, we need to balance our masculine and our feminine energies. If we're somebody who's super driven, we need to shift that perspective to a bit more of slowing down, being intuitive and receiving, and vice versa. If we're too slowed down, we're too intuitive, we're too receiving, get your shit together, get some work in, get some grit, and do what you have to do. Because what I can promise you is that when you blend these together, and you see the interplay and the dance between everything in life, and you start to see that a lot of this is good, but too much is too much. And a lot of this is good, but too much is too much. And there's just the right amount in the middle, right? It's just that perfect blend. And when you find that perfect blend of balance in your life, you will be unstoppable, because you will be whole mentally, you will be whole physically, and you will be whole spiritually. And when you do that and you have a connection to your higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, and you feel like you're being pulled and led by something you can't explain, and you're connected to source, and you're connected to your feminine energy, and you're connected to creation, that's all God energy, man. That's all intuition. That's all female, feminine, Mother Earth. But then when you're structured and you have your 3D on earth discipline, and you're like, this is what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, and this is how I do it. When you do all of that, you will literally be an unbelievably relentless, unstoppable human being. And in the same breath, you will have the most fulfilled, passionate life, because you will value the holistic pie, as I like to call it. Money is one piece of the metric. Relationships are one piece of the metric. Your own purpose and drive is one piece of the metric. If you don't put all these pieces together, you're only living a one-sided life. You need to live with this whole pie included. So I'm going to end there. If you love this stuff, subscribe, click on the channel. You can find me. It's all in the links. And just know from the bottom of my heart that I have been through hell to get here. And I've had to swing that pendulum far left and far right so many times, I didn't know who the hell I was. I actually didn't know. My life was so dominated by my emotions and my inability to stick to my word to myself. And so when I learned to honor my word to myself, and I learned to lean into my feminine energy and lean into my masculine energy and know that they are designed to work together, y'all. We're here to be a team. We have to team with ourselves first, then we team with other people in energies that match us. My life completely changed. So what I bring to the table on this is that I promise you, I understand. I've been in so many dark places, and I feel you, and this is how we're going to make the change together.